guys, welcome back to another day of Bookmas. As you can see from the title, today we are talking all about my reading journal, and more specifically setting up my reading journal for 2026. It feels so weird doing anything 2026 related this side of Christmas, but I do think that kind of chill, slightly dead zone between Christmas and New Year is such a good time to get yourself prepped and set up, and it's such a good like crafting time. If you're someone that either already does a book journal but you're wanting some inspo for some new spreads for next year, or if you're somebody that has never done a reading journal before, like I'm relatively new to it. 2025 was my first year of really doing it semi-properly. I don't even think I really do it properly, but my version of doing it properly, 2025 was my first year. So if you're thinking it might be something that you want to do in 2026, then today I'm going to show you my full setup, all the stuff that I use to make it happen, where I get my inspo from, how I do it, etc, etc. So starting off with just, I guess, some context for anyone that's like completely brand new, doesn't know anything about it, why you do one, what's the point? Well, let me tell you, I think a reading journal, if you're somebody that is loving reading but you kind of want to dive into the hobby a little bit more and you want to make it more of a broader hobby, then I just recommend having a reading journal so much. It's so fun to be able to get crafty and to be able to just think more about the books that you loved, to see a representation of your reading year in colour and stickers and fun at the end of every single year. It's also great audiobooking time, not gonna lie, when you just want to do something with your hands and to pop an audiobook in and fill out your reading journal. It's one of my favourite times of every, I will say, month. I am not somebody that dedicates lots of time to being crafty and artsy and things. I wish I could dedicate more time to it, but I don't really have the capacity to do it loads. But I do think once a month, just getting to sit down and do something with your hands and feel like you're kind of going back to a hobby or going back to something that you did when you were young. I mean, I haven't done crafting since I was a child, and it's just so fun getting to rediscover kind of childhood hobbies that you really enjoyed then, or exploring childhood hobbies you never did when you were young but you want to try as an adult. It's very liberating and very therapeutic. So if you don't do a reading journal, highly recommend. Of course, reading journals are completely personal to you and you can capture in them whatever you want to capture. I use mine as kind of like a tracking / documenting my reads journal more than writing entries about the books that I've read, which is another way that you could take it. You could, after you finish a book that makes you think a lot of things, you can review your books in your journal, and you can also just use it as free space to write. I don't really write much in mine. It's more of a scrapbook kind of a vibe. I'll dive into showing you what's inside this in just a second, but just quickly going through the stuff that you need if you want to do this. First up, you need a journal. Mine is from Papier. I loved being able to get one that I could personalize, but really you can get one from absolutely anywhere. A couple of things to consider if you also want to get a Papier journal is, one, if you think you want to take reading journaling very seriously, then I do believe you can get higher quality journals. I think the Papier journals are lovely quality, but the paper thickness isn't as thick as you can get from some other journals where you can kind of guarantee that there'll be no bleed through on the pages. Like I said, the quality of this is absolutely fine for me, but I know you can definitely get better. And then the other thing is, depending on how much stuff you want to stick in your journal, mine, the Papier ones that I have, don't have like the elastic band that goes around the side, which if you think you're going to want to stick a lot of stuff in, it might be worth having one that has a band so that you can kind of keep it closed and keep it together. I, as you can see, don't really stick too much in mine, so it's fine. But you need a journal. I really recommend Papier, but you can get anything you like. And then you're going to need some crafty things. I'd say the only things you really need, just like kind of the bare requirements, is a multi-pack of felt tips. I use the Crayola Super Tips. I've got a whole mix of different colors. They're pretty inexpensive. I'll link the exact ones that I've got, but I just got mine from Amazon, but I think you can get them from anywhere. Pencil, ruler, scissors, pens. I have just like biro that I write in whenever I do want to write anything. And then I've got a fine liner for, you'll see, I use the fine liner for kind of outlining all my designs and everything like that. And then you can really go crazy. Once you've got felt tips and your journal, I really believe that's all you need. And then above and beyond that, you can go crazy. Stickers, fun different types of tape, you can get metallic-y pens, and you know the deal. You can go completely crazy with it if you want to. Somebody's reading journal who is stunning, and I always go and look. I try and look at inspiration for spreads from her, but they're just so beautiful. I kind of just know I could never, so I don't actually end up taking that much inspo. I just go to admire. Katie is reading. If you don't follow her, like, her reading journal is beautiful. It's like a work of art. It's so lovely, and it's always this kind of like whimsical, magical kind of fairy cottage vibe. It's stunning. It's always stunning every single year. So if you want better kind of beautiful design inspo than I'm ever going to be able to give you, then definitely go check out Katie's. But if you want a more basic version of what you can create, then I'm going to show you how I do mine. Which brings me on to the final thing I'm going to say before we actually get started is, as I kind of said at the beginning, reading journals are super personal, journals of any kind of super personal, but I'm not naturally super creative. So I found that I do really love getting inspiration from other places to create my spreads. Some of my spreads I basically direct copy from Pinterest. I've got a whole Pinterest board. If you want to go follow and see my Pinterest board, I've created a Pinterest board called, I think it's literally called Reading Journal Inspo or something like that. And I just scroll through Pinterest and find ideas of different spreads that I really like. Like I said, Katie's reading is lovely. Rachel Catherine does a really thorough one. She captures and documents a whole ton more than I do. I don't have too many spreads in my reading journal for every year because I don't find that I'm able to keep up with that much. So I just like having a few fundamentals that I think just give a nice view of my year. But yeah, if you want in-depth, thorough reading journaling, Rachel Catherine's is awesome. Beautiful, fairy aesthetic. Katie's reading. Oh, and then the final thing I'll say, because I've actually had a few people ask me this question, is because I don't do loads and loads of spreads, my plan is to just keep reusing this journal for every year that I can fit in it. So my 2025 reading journal has taken me up to like here, and then I'm just, stuff's falling out of it that I've prepped for me get started in a sec. But my plan is to literally just turn a couple of pages and then I'm starting my 2026 and I'm just going to keep going. So this is just going to have lots of years worth of journal content in it. I'm not buying a new journal at the beginning of each year, which again, I know some people do because they fill up a lot more of the book than I do, but I'm just going to keep using this one for as long as I can. Okay, that is enough yapping at the start. I'm now going to go sit down. We can officially get started. I have done some pre-work already, some outlines of the spreads that I want to do, because I will say the setup takes some time and you definitely need to invest time in doing all of your prep and all of your setup, because believe me, in 2024, I didn't do proper setup, and then each month I kind of tried to create spreads so that I could update them, and then that for me is just not sustainable. Now is the perfect time of year to hunker down, cozied up, get all your spreads prepped, set up your reading journal for success, and then throughout the year it's just so fun to be able to populate. Right, okay, let's get started. 2026 reading journal setup. Let's do it. Here's a tiny peek as I flick through my 2025 before we get on to my 2026. A lot of my 2025 isn't fully populated yet because we're not at the end of the year, so I still have some time to tick off a few of the things I haven't done yet. But here we go. This is my first intro spread for the 2026 reading journal. I really didn't like my 2025 cover page, so I knew I wanted to make this one good. But I'm not really much of a planner when it comes to spreads. I kind of just stick things down, see how I go. So it's always a bit of luck if it's actually going to turn out all right. I have to say though, I do thoroughly love my little bow sticker and my little meet me at the bookstore sticker. And it's made me really want to get more stickers. So that is definitely on the list. You'll also notice as I go through this that I switch jumpers pretty regularly between clips. And that's because it turned out my printer was out of ink. So this actually ended up getting done over 2 days once I restocked my printer and could print out all of the nice prints and stuff for the scrapbooky effects. Anyway, on to my first proper spread of the journal. I really like this one because it's really different to the way that I've displayed these kind of stats in previous years. So I'm going to have my reading goals down the side. I haven't set those yet. I'll probably do that as part of a 2026 reset. And then this is one of the bits that I always love looking back at the most at the end of the year. And it's where I'll stick the front cover of my favorite book of the month for every single month of the year. Now onto my reading goal spread. This is my reading goal in terms of book quantities that I want to get through. Next year, I'm actually going to have just 60 books as my goal. It's kind of a crazy year next year. I'm getting married next year. I have no idea how many books I'm going to read over that time and on honeymoon and things like that. So I'm shrinking my goal slightly. I hope I'll read more than 60 books, but we've got to make them count this year, that's for sure. And then on the other side of the double spread, I've got my monthly tracker, so my quantity by month. This year I'm doing kind of the same thing I did last year, to be honest, like a bar chart kind of style, but I'm actually doing the bar chart horizontally this time instead of vertically. These 2 pages do look a little bit uninspiring until they've got some of the books and the squares coloured in, but I do colour the books in based on their star rating, so I always love looking back at this one. This is a completely new spread for me, and this one is going to hold me to account. 2026 is the year of keeping our physical TBR low. So here I am capturing as of the end of 2025. So again, some of these books might change because I might get through more of my current physical TBR than I think we'll see how we go, but I'm capturing as of the end of 2025 my exact physical TBR shelves and which books are on them at this point. So I can look back, and if at the end of 2026 any of these books are still left on there, they either need to get unhauled or read before the end of the year, because we can't have books sitting on the shelves for years and years. They're much better off going to a more loving home. And then on the other side, I've got my 26 books for 2026. I think last year I had an anticipated releases page and I had a 25 books for 2025, and that was actually just too many books, because in a way that's like 50 books that I then want to read, and that's pretty much my entire goal for the year. So this time I'm just doing 26 books that I really want to get to throughout the year. I haven't finalized this list yet. It's going to be a mix of anticipated releases and books that are just on my list I want to get to. You'll see like Tomorrow is on there. It's a book that I really want to read next year, and it's crazy I haven't gotten to it yet. So again, probably part of my 2026 reset, I'll finalize that list, finalize my broader reading goals, and do any final updates to this journal before we really get started with 2026 reads. But I really like having these two pages together. I think it's nice to be able to have the physical TBR books I really need to get to, and then a mix of my anticipated release and new books that I want to pick up. And to be honest, any excuse to use my little HP sprocket and print out the physical book covers and stick them in the journal, I love it. I love it every single time. And this spread is also a new spread for 2026, and is probably going to be my favorite spread of all of them, because I'm so excited. If you're new around here, hi, I've recently launched a book club and we're starting our first read for January 2026, so come join. The book club is hosted on Fable and on Patreon. You can join either or both, and this is the spread where I'm going to be capturing the book that we read together every month, and I am so pumped. I have no idea what the first book is going to be yet. We are all yet to choose it together, but this is the spread where I'm going to be able to look back at the end of the year and see all 12 books that we read together as a group, and the excitement it's extremely high. This is definitely a spread where I want to jazz it up with some stickers. This spread definitely deserves to be like the jazziest of all of them. So of course I had to do a little Dutch door. I love doing a Dutch door. They're always so much fun. It's like having a mini book inside a book. I mean, who isn't excited by that concept? Each month I'm going to print out the front cover of the book. I'm going to give it my star rating, and then this is where I'll be able to document my thoughts on the book as well. So I've left space to give a little description. Here we have it, the first ever book club spread. Then we move on to my reading bucket list. This is such a fun one. I mean, let's be real, all of these are quite fun, but this one definitely gets extra fun points. I found this idea on Pinterest, so if you want to see the original inspo pic that I got for this, then you can go have a look over there. But essentially I create all of these mini tiles, which are pretty similar, I think, to TBR jar prompts, and throughout the year I have to colour these in every time I'm able to tick them off with a book that I've read. I'm going to add more tiles to this, so if you have any ideas for more that could go on my kind of bucket list bingo page, then let me know. Now we're getting into some of the more serious stuff where I actually track the books that I'm reading. I've never done this before, but I'm currently kind of straddling both Fable and Goodreads. I really do want to migrate properly to Fable, but there's just something about the clutches of Goodreads that won't let me go. So whilst I'm unable to completely cut ties and store all the books that I read in one location, I'm finding I'm losing track. I'm losing track of the books that I've read, and we can't have that. I think my kind of single point version of the truth is now going to be the book journal, and I'm going to write in here every single time I finish a book, and then I'll use this to populate Fable and Goodreads, and then hopefully I'll be able to monitor everything that's going on a little bit more easily, a little bit more streamlined. So within here, I'm just going to track a few simple things. I'm not going to overcomplicate it. It's just going to be the name of the book, the author, the genre of the book, and then how many stars I rated it. So I'm not including my actual reviews of the books. I am going to try and keep those going into Goodreads and Fable, but this is all I need, just a nice neat list of everything that I get to. And I can't believe it, but we're officially on to the final spread. I think I got this idea originally from Rachel Catherine, I'll have to check, but I love it. Definitely one of my favorite spreads from last year, and the way that I do it is I choose 6 books that make it onto what I call my Hall of Fame spread, and that is essentially just my favorite 6 books of the entire year. This is of the 5 stars that I have throughout the year, which are the top 6. So quite the list to pull together. In 2025, I kind of just went on a gut instinct. I didn't wait until the end of the year to populate this. I kind of went as I go. And as soon as I came across a book that I was like, no, that was a 6-star god tier kind of read. As soon as I found one of those, I put it in the Hall of Fame. So there's only 6. And again, I think visually this idea was Rachel's and I love it. It kind of looks like portraits or paintings hanging on like a gallery wall. And I just love that. And it's so fun to think that at this point, I've got no idea what my new favorite books are going to be. Like this time next year, this Hall of Fame spread will be filled and I'm already itching to know what books are going to be hanging on this wall. And there we go. I can't believe it. That is the full 2026 reading journal setup complete. Let's have a final flick through to see what the spreads are looking like. I am really loving this front page, I have to say. Big fan. So much better than last year's. A very neat summary of the year. It's going to be so fun to be able to tick off the goals and see my favourite books of the month as we go. Can't wait to have more of the front cover little sticky things stuck on this spread. This one needs some jazzing up. It's going to be my favourite one. It just needs I want some glitter. Actually, that's really what I want for this page. I want some actual sparkles. Need to hunt that down. The reading log, this could also do with some jazzing up to be fair, but I'm kind of fine with this one being a little bit more organisational rather than artistic. The bucket list page, like I said, let me know if you've got any fun ideas. I definitely am going to create a lot more tiles, but I didn't want them to be too same as last year, so room to add more. And then my Hall of Fame. That is it. Let me know if you also are planning to do a reading journal for 2026, and I cannot wait to see you tomorrow for the next episode of Bookmas. Bye guys.